terms of the 2015 nuclear deal. Joining us now is Matthew Brodsky, security analyst. And Matthew, by all accounts, Iran is at least rhetorically trying to increase the pressure on the United States and on Europe. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, this is to be expected. Iran is playing a game of saber rattling that's mostly designed to go after the Europeans. Iran has said, the supreme leader still said that he was going to stick to the deal, even as he was saying this, laying this out, that he was going to increase the production and the output of uranium. So he's still trying to get the Europeans to stay in the market, and the Europeans, of course, are trying to find ways that they can go around the sanctions that are coming back into play now. So we can imagine that Iran will continue to play this game, and Europe will continue to get scared and nervous, and they'll continue to come to the United States, and the United States will continue to say we're not going to do anything about it or provide any exemptions. So this is, I guess, to be expected. Also, we should point out that the IR-6 centrifuges that we're talking about, these are far more advanced. These are ones that they had built last year also, and they were breaking quite frequently. So not to get too technical, but they kind of have replaced what they had before. So they're doing a really good job of pounding their chest and making something that is potentially a big deal, but probably somewhat understandable, of turning that little molehill into a mountain, shall we say.
The latest round of talks between the Iranians and the Europeans essentially fell apart, with the Europeans saying they could not meet the Iranians' demands for money and all sorts of other economic relief because of the U.S. sanctions. And the Iranians said, well, it's not good enough. So where does everything go, though, as the Iranians and the Europeans are sort of playing this game back and forth? Where does this head?
Well, I mean, it's going to end when Europe realizes that it simply is going to have to choose between being involved with Iran's economy or the United States economy. And that was always the game plan and the rule once the United States had pulled out of the JCPOA. So they can have all these discussions, but really they're a little bit irrelevant. Now, at the same time, you have a giant protest movement, a completely crashed economy inside of Iran. So it's not, I mean, they can clearly try to devote as much resources as they can to improving their nuclear program right now, but it will come at a tremendous expense to its standing, because it doesn't really have the economy to continue to create weapons, or basically just to create weapons-grade uranium for a long period of time, to make it through a year breakout period of time. Iran is going to have a hard choice it's going to have to make, and that's basically to stick within the deal, to stick within the limited means it has financially at its disposal, and the United States needs to stand strong and continue to tell Europe, we're not going to let you engage economically with Iran, or you can't be with us.
Matthew, I'm so glad you mentioned the domestic political pressures in Iran, because it has been so intriguing to see these protests or hear about them. Has Iran's behavior, though, overall, externally, has it changed over the last several months since the United States pulled out of the nuclear deal?
See, there's a good point that you're probably alluding to there, which is no matter what the financial crisis is, Iran is still seen Syria as number one, but as part of its foreign adventures, essentially, as a top priority. So it doesn't mind starving its people and having them go without the bare essentials, as long as it is still able to continue pumping money into its foreign adventures, propping up the Assad regime, continuing to give weapons and financial aid to Hezbollah in Yemen and elsewhere. So it's still, this is still a number one priority. And yeah, their behavior is not really changed a whole lot on the outside. But,
right.
The deal wasn't designed to address it, and that's unfortunate.
Matthew Brodsky, security analyst. And Matthew, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Still to come in the Trump effect, the president may see Russia as a friend to the United States, but according to a new poll, most Americans consider Russia the enemy. Plus, in Spotlight, those popular sites that use your DNA to track down your ancestors? Well, police